Oh, it's so funny. The black women just calling me gay. You gay? It's so bad. People are taking my posts, send them to like other pages and groups, and they're like discussing them.
Oh my god,
it's hilarious, man. I was like, I'm gonna get rich because of white men's dicks. That's cool.
The untapped resource.
I mean, there's a grip of them out there.
Yeah.
Someone might as well do something productive with it.
All right, what we get?
Now, do we want to open with the conspiracy theory? Because this one, I figure we could all talk about. You might be the most recent transplant.
Yeah, I've heard shit, but I don't really know the in depths of it.
So, what do you bear know about Denver International Airport and the conspiracy theories that go with it? Because some of them are very superfluous. Some of them go a little deeper.
Do you want just like the Reader's Digest version, or do you want to know what I believe?
Let's lay it all out there so we can be participatory.
The belief is that what you got to know about the Denver International Airport, it is the largest airport in North America. It is the second largest airport on the planet, only behind Dubai.
Is it Dubai? Oh, yeah, from a space.
Mass,
yeah.
Point.
But from the
it is only like the 10th busiest for travelers. What was originally supposed to be a $1.4 billion airport turned into a like $5.1 billion airport or something. Like it quadrupled in price.
Also, I remember
it came in late.
Yeah.
Hang on.
Sorry, go ahead.
They pulled in earth moving equipment to build it, the likes of which had never been seen before. You can Google search just the earth moving aspect of the Denver International Airport, and there's like threads where like guys that just move earth for a living are discussing how insane the amount, like something like 500 million tons of dirt removed to build the airport.
Jesus.
The belief, like those are like all facts. You can look all of that up. The belief is that they built an underground bunker underneath the airport. Some believe it's just a underground military base, and some believe it is the headquarters for the New World Order. Queen Elizabeth owns land outside of Denver International Airport. Jay-Z and Beyonce own land outside of the Denver International Airport. Why in the fuck do these people want land outside of the Denver International Airport?
Can I just say this, just to intervene right here? I believe in like the New World Order and like Skull and Bones. I believe in like all that shit until you start throwing niggas in there, cause them like old white fraternity type things, and they ain't just been letting niggas in there because they got a little bit of money. Jay-Z ain't even a billionaire. I'd rather you say Oprah. Billion?
Oprah.
I'm pretty sure Jay-Z's got $1 billion.
I don't think
None of them are a billionaire yet. Dre's going to be the first one, but he's not a billionaire
No,
yet.
Oprah.
Because
I'm
of
talking about
rock.
Oprah.
Because of rock.
Oh, I thought we were talking about rappers.
No, I'm talking about just black people in general. Like, people think just because you got a little bit of money that these people have money the only power they have behind their money is the money to spend it and buy materialistic shit. They don't have fixed election money. You know what I'm saying? Or power like that. That's when I'm saying like, okay, this motherfucker's in there. But when you just a rapper, you just got a whole bunch of money. That's where I draw the line up with the whole Illuminati shit.
I think $810 million as his last net worth is close enough.
Still, man.
That's fuck you money. He can say
that's
he can
fuck you
say
money.
fuck you to all but like 100 people on the planet.
Dude, but his money is given to him by somebody with more money. Like for him to have money, somebody has to be cool with him getting that money. He can't get that money on his own.
I would have agreed with that about Jay-Z like 15 years ago, but he's actually started his own
Oh, he do have
enterprises.
titles.
Well, it's because of sports too. He's got
Right. He bought a piece of the Barclays. Like he's got legit investments that's not dependent on people buying his albums.
Well, he bought into the Nets and then sold the Nets because he realized he'd make more money as an agent.
Well, he bought into the Nets as a publicity thing. He bought 1% of the Nets and of the Barclays, which was just to give them legitimacy going into Brooklyn. That's really that was a publicity stuff.
But then he had to sell it because of the fact that he wanted to be a sports agent because you couldn't do both. But as far as the Denver airport, I remember I remember when I was living in, this is way back in the day when they first built it. I was like living in like New Hampshire. So it made the national news that when they built that fucking airport, the baggage system was all fucked up and they couldn't use it. Like they wanted to use it, but
Still is.
Yeah.
But that's how they explained away like one of these extra billions of dollars.
Yeah, and also the fucking delay.
So, because I delivered, like, I have personal ties to this more than any other conspiracy theory on the planet. I delivered blueprints to this place like 4 times a day for like 3 years.
Damn.
And they would build shit, like they would tear the ground out of the earth and they would build something and then they'd be like, oh, that was wrong. It's like, we'll just cover it up and build another one over here. And they would hire and fire, not hire and fire, but like they would hire a contractor to be like, you're going to build this. This is all you know about. Don't worry about the fuck these guys are doing over here. You just build this on time and you'll be paid well. And so they like there's legitimate underground networking under. I don't know what it's for, but it is bigger than the actual airport.
Huh.
Probably so.
So, have any of you ever read or seen the documentaries or read about? I believe what was it? It was in like Northern Virginia, that hotel that they built the Cold War bunker underneath, so that the entirety of the U.S. government could continue to function in the case of a nuclear strike.
Jesus.
You've never seen that?
No.
Like literally there was like a room that was just like Congress built underground and there was a functioning hotel. But if you walked through this like random door that was and then a secret wall that was like a 70-ton door, all of a sudden the US government goes under there. Let me see if I can find it.
Yeah, it's Russia did the same thing. Like they have a random like subline that goes like to nowhere, and it was because of the Cold War. Because I mean, it was
Man, this dude,
The Greenbrier.
Yeah.
You can tour it.
I've heard that name.
the Greenbrier. Like
I don't believe that it is a New World Order base that is under there. I believe it is like what James was talking about, like a government stronghold under
I
there.
can see that.
Because Denver is set up to be the capital if D.C. gets nuked. That's why the DEA World Headquarters is here. That's why the FDA World Headquarters is here.
It's also it's inland, meaning like it's the safest place in America. Somebody told me.
Correct. So it was one of those things like when I was in high school, I remember having an American history teacher that was just like, let's look at all the countries in the world and look at where their capital is. Their capital is always in the center of their landmass. The U.S. is one of the few. It's right on the coast. It's super susceptible to every form of attack, which is why where's Cheyenne Mountain? Where NORAD is based. Isn't that
It's down in the Springs, basically?
Yeah. It's all in Colorado. Colorado is basically set up to be government version 2.0.
And plus, man, and this might be reaching, but like there's certain places that you can drive and your cell signal will completely just die.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like it ain't no warning, it ain't no dip. It's like literally die back.
Yeah.
It's weird. So
It makes sense to me if say we melted all the polar ice caps, Colorado still above water
yeah.
at the end of the day. I mean, but yeah, so the Greenbrier was a good example that was kept secret until like the 90s. But as you can see, like from some of the little pictures here, that it's like, yeah, that was all set up to be a government underground.
You
They
wanna
have
have a
the
wedding?
little clocks.
weddings. Have a wedding there.
They have a casino.
Oh, so
It's
now
on Indian land.
now it's just like a tourist thing, right?
Yeah.
It is now
Okay.
because they had to like they were like Cold War's over, and then all of a sudden the Freedom of Information Act
Yeah.
allowed people to.
the
see it.
Freedom of Information Act is one of my favorite things of all times.
Oh,
It's
Why is
right up there with WikiLeaks.
why?
Because there's shit that I've always believed but couldn't be proven, and then all of a sudden these documents drop and like, oh shit, there's proof.
Well, that's the thing I tell people. I'm like, if you really want to know shit, there's shit out there. Like you can just research a lot of shit, and you're like, what the fuck? Like for real? That's what blows my mind about how people have faith in giving power to the government. I'm like, do you understand the shit the government then did behind your back?
What has the government done behind our back? Honestly, that's come to light that we were all like, that made no sense. Why would you do such an awful thing?
The crack epidemic.
But has that has that largely been proven
Yes.
true?
Yeah.
Yes.
That the
Completely.
CIA
seen it?
helped
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you
install
seen the
crack-
video? There's a video.
No,
it's,
I have not
it's
watched it. I'll
great.
be honest.
Yeah.
It's great. They like the FBI realized they had like a fucking problem because this story's getting out of control. So they had like a town hall like in the early '90s, right? It's so they bring in the head of the FBI or some guy who's like up there in the FBI.
The CIA.
Or yeah, or something like that. They had a lot of people there. Plus,
Well, it had to be the FBI because the CIA isn't allowed to operate on U.S. soil.
Yeah,
So,
Supposedly.
supposedly. so this guy starts giving out the speech about like we don't do this, we don't do that, and this L.A. cop, this L.A. detective who worked like Vice Squad and shit, was like, all right, cool. Can you tell me about Operation this, Operation that, Operation? Like he starts naming shit off, and you can see the head of the FBI guy just like going like this, like I have no idea what you are talking about, and because he would like arrest drug dealers and then be like, why are you letting them go? Oh, it's because the federal government is
Yeah,
yeah.
they pretty much made all the connections from the FBI back all the way back to what was they getting fucking crack from? Who's the dude?
Nicaragua.
Who's the main? It was one main dude.
Freeway.
Yeah, for
He wasn't even the
He
main
was-
dude. He was just the main dude in L.A.
Yeah,
No,
it was
but the guy.
It was a guy back
Nicaragua
there.
Was,
what's his name? Noriega.
Noriega.
Yeah, Noriega. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was that man.
Because, I mean, don't get me wrong, like, Freeway, Rick Ross, and Noriega, they were moving product, but it wasn't shit compared to what, like, fucking, what the Colombians were doing on the East Coast.
But that was a whole triangle thing because they weren't allowed to give arms to the Iranians, and they weren't allowed to give money to the Contras. So what they did was they got the shit from the Contras, sold, like, as far as the drugs, sold them here, took that money, gave it to the Contras so they can help them fight their war, and also buy arms for Iran. Because they couldn't do it through like legit reasons.
Ollie North.
Yeah,
But this is what I'm saying though. We know shit like this, and we just still we don't get.
because that's not the president.
Huh?
This is how. Hang on, I'm going to give you an insight into white people right now. Not me, obviously, but like overall, because I have so much family in the Midwest. Like I converse with them. I understand them to an extent. You like people like educated white people know that happened, but they still like with all hope that not all white people are evil. They believe that it was just these specific bad white people.
Exactly.
Doing
I know.
this specific bad thing, and it wasn't even the president. It was Oliver North did that.
yeah.
But this is what I tell people.
He fell on the sword for that.
Have you
For
ever?
sure.
Exactly. That's what it is.
He was
They
sacrificed to that.
sacrifice up a martyr so the whole system doesn't go down. That's what they do. It be cool shit like, hey man, you got to go to jail. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna take care of your family. You still get your pension, your health care, this, that, and the other, but you got to go sit in jail for a few years because we need a scapegoat.
My other side of this is okay. So we by some weird piece of this triangle. If I'm following along, I have a thought here, but I'm going to lead everybody, hopefully, to this. We do this for what gain? Just to sell weapons to the enemy of an enemy?
Well, no, well, yes, and
Yeah.
you also shit on black people because that was when they was destroyed. That was at the time they were destroying the black community in the ghettos because they found out that like they couldn't, even though they was shitting on black people, with the family still intact, you still couldn't really do too much more. And that's the thing about ethnic people. We always had a sense of family, to whereas white motherfuckers, y'all wait for y'all
But
parents
if you
to die
can
and
remove all the fathers through violence or imprisonment,
shit, or drugs, then you give all the women welfare and tell them you don't need the father, and then make it dependent upon you can't have a man in the house if you get this welfare, even though I know you can't make any, you know what I'm saying, ends meet.
Do you honestly think that it was that long-sighted? And for
fuck
those,
yes, it was.
I disagree.
This is
there's
what
a reason.
this is what I tell people. This is what white people see the long picture. That's why we erase shit out of history. Because if I erase out of history now, 100 years down the line, that history is true.
Hit that L button.
Now it's time for logic.
Here we go.
I will tell you exactly why. And from what I've heard, and this has never been stated, but this is honest to God what I believe. Yes, bunch of fucking white people in power wanted to subjugate black people. You want to know why? Because painting them as felons is the one and only way to legitimately put them back into slavery. Yeah. And that's according to the 13th Amendment.
I'm about to say it's not even paying. It's just if you become a felon, you lose all rights under the 13th Amendment. So you enslave essentially again.
So if the end game is to criminalize as many able-bodied black males as you possibly can, that's a hell of a fucking game. I'm sorry.
Dude, but it's not just this. Like, this coincides with the war on drugs. It coincides with the prison industrial complex. It coincides with, like, the contracting for the prison industrial complex. Dude, there was a meeting in, like, 1990, and all these record executives from all across the country were brought into this place, and they're like, so this is what you're going to do. You're going to push gangster rap. You're going to push thug life. You're going to push all of these images, because this will create more black men and more poor white people to think that this is the behavior that is to be emulated. They will emulate this behavior, and we will put more of them in prison.
And that's the thing with you. White people don't believe good white people. And this is the thing. It's good white people that think, like, I would never do this. They think that the government didn't purposely do this shit to black people. They think it was just a residual of something else. They went specifically. They've done it since we were freed.
I don't believe that they are specifically maliciously targeting black people. No, however, they are specifically and maliciously targeting those they know the rest of the majority will care less about. And it just so happens to be black people at this time in history, but I think that that's
this time in history?
No, honest, the last 200 years. It's a fucking blink
Okay,
in the
I
eye.
thought you meant like the last 10 years. We said this time in history.
Wait till we get to Mexicans. Wait till we get to the other levels of brown. It'll be even fucking worse.
I don't think they're gonna fuck with Mexicans.
Wait till we
like
turn
that.
on ourselves.
Huh?
Oh, you wait till we turn on ourselves.
Well, that's what's happening now. This is what's going on right now. It's like I say, they don't need the middle class motherfuckers. They're going after a new type of white person that never had the things that's happening. They taking away health care, their pensions, all this shit that middle class white people have worked for. They're taking that shit away. So now you're seeing a lot of infighting and shit going on now. You know what I'm saying? That's the thing. It's motherfuckers gonna turn on each other, man.
Yeah,
Go. You always not saying.
Well, hang on. I want to interject real quick. He said that, like, depending on how history is written, in 100 years, that's just history. And it is true. I have seen my daughter's textbook in the last 5 years where they say, like, they don't even call it slavery.
What?
No.
Oh my god!
It's like, I don't remember what the term was. It was
servitude or something.
No, it
like
wasn't
that.
even like that. It was like
the nice brown
voluntary voluntary labor. That's what they call it in history book. That's what they're teaching children now. It's not slavery. It's voluntary labor.
Now they got textbooks to where they said that the indigenous people left their land so that the white people could grow America.
Yeah, the indigenous people were like, "Oh, we're cool. We'll move to the other." Dude, I swear to God, it's in history. Google it right now. Google it right now.
Yeah,
you have the computer in front of you.
No, I fucking believe you. I just don't want to believe.
That's the problem.
They're already rewriting history.
Thank you for saying that. You know it's true. You see it happening, but you're like, I can't believe this, because if you're a moral person, you have to do something about it. You can't just be like, I don't give a fuck. You can, but if you got any type of morality in your body, you like, that's fucked up, and you feel bad for it.
Like, I have enough problems with those fucking things that go up on no, like, at a base level of education. The fact that there's a movement towards a flat Earth is just it's just shitty fucking education.
Okay, wait.
Don't you fucking say a word.
I'm not going to defend flat Earth. I'm going to explain why people believe in flat Earth.
Because they didn't go to fucking school and they didn't build on the fucking undeniable knowledge. This goes one deeper. Have you seen those things on Facebook where it's like 3 bananas equals 15? A banana plus a banana plus a banana equals 15. A banana plus 2 blah, blah equals this. What is this equation? And everybody gets it wrong. And every time I'd be like, no, it's this.
Who the fuck is doing math on Facebook?
No, it's like, this is for genius. It's like, no, it's to prove who should just be summarily shot in the street because they didn't go to math from age 5 until present. It's fucking infuriating.
See, this is what I like about him. This is what white people do. Is you're looking at the effect of what. Why are they teaching? If you know, they've changed the curriculum to make shit harder.
How do you change math?
You haven't heard of Common Core? You haven't heard of Common Core math?
If they're not still teaching that 2 plus 2 equals 4 and 2 times 2 plus
Common
2
Core math is a whole
6.
fucking thing.
He don't know. He don't know. James,
Look up Common Core math.
You out the loop, baby.
I've seen it and I've read some of it, and I got so angry that anybody that puts their kid into Common Core should be shot, and their kid should be put in a foster home.
A lot of these kids don't have a choice.
don't have a choice.
They don't teach my kids Common Core. Like Cherry Creek School parents went ham.
Exactly. You don't have a choice. That's what
But
I'm saying.
there's like most of Aurora Public Schools straight up Common Core math.
How do you not have a choice? You're
Because
paying for the fucking school.
No, they're
no,
not.
we're talking about public school, man.
Yes, it's a taxpayer. You have a fucking choice.
The school board makes that choice for you.
And you elect the school board.
90% of the populace of this city don't understand that you can elect that school board, nor care, nor have the time to give a fuck because they're working 2 jobs so their kids can go to a shitty
it's
school.
not who you elect. It's something that's handed down from the government to say this is what you're going to teach them. It ain't no, I'm not teaching this, because it doesn't matter who that person is. They have to take orders from the motherfucker up here. It's something that was widespread. Now, if you're a rich white school, you can have your motherfucking way, maybe. But if you're a public school and you're not paying for your kids to go to school and you're in a place where there's not a lot of taxes that's being put into schools, you at the discretion of what the fuck they want you to do.
I went to public school. Go.
All right. So you went to school here, right? Denver?
No, I went to school in Aurora. You went to public school in an affluent neighborhood in a part of the country that still believed in education.
Time.
No, hang on.
No. My time.
Let Jacob go.
Jesus Christ. All right. You went to school in Aurora. You went to school, what, in Chicago?
Yeah.
Okay. Connecticut, New York. Here's the thing, Northeast, we're just better at it. Sorry. If I had a kid here, I'd fucking move. This place and a lot of other places around this country fucking suck at teaching children, period. In the Northeast, at least, we have the balls to say it to their face, like, we do better. This is bullshit. I went to school in Florida for 2 years. Holy fuck. They called the Civil War the War of Northern Aggression. You fucking serious right now? You invaded Fort Sumner, you dumb cunts, and then had the balls to go into fucking Gettysburg for no reason. Then we beat your ass and then marched to Atlanta and burned it to the fucking ground. So fuck you and your stars and bars, you bag of shits. But the point is that education is important, but yet when you have a bunch of people who are dumb already, who are trying to like push their power on people to make them even more dumber, that's the problem you have.
More dumb.
Yeah.
Dude, that is the system
whatever.
across the board. Like, I get what you're saying.
No.
I went to elementary school in Iowa.
Yeah.
Top-notch education, because that's all they have is education.
And corn.
Okay, no one's getting rich on corn, though. Like, people are subsidized and making government
subsidy. I got you.
Yeah.
You're part of the machine.
So they push education. There's so many colleges there. They're like, no, learn everything. Like if I'd have stayed in Iowa, I'd have got basically a free ride education just for being a citizen. However, I moved out here in middle school, and the shit they were trying to teach me in the 7th grade is shit that I already learned in the 5th grade, and I completely checked out. Like I get that. That's on me. I'm a bad person. I could have done something about it. Whatever. But education across the board, because I have friends that have kids all across the country. Education across the board. If you do not live in a neighborhood that is well fucking funded, and I do by hook or crook, man. Like if my mom didn't live with me, I'd been homeless a decade ago. Yeah. But if you don't live in a good neighborhood, man, your kids are getting taught crazy shit. Because my niece goes to a shitty high school.
Totally.
Why,
I agree with you.
Why does, and I'll ask this question because, okay, two of you have basically accused me, mostly you, of growing up in an affluent neighborhood, which is true, in a well-funded public school system, also true. So I get better teachers. That's the okay.
Probably better teachers and better resources.
My point here is that math requires almost no resources. Math is fundamentally true. History, revisionist history, however you want to look at it, this has to do with the money the textbooks can pay for. But math,
if you can teach a generation of children a form of math that their parents don't understand, those kids will start to realize that the government is wiser than their parents and will check out and buy into the system faster.
Ooh, I like that. I ain't never thought about that because that is what's happening right now with these kids and the guns. They have no more faith in their parents to protect them. So now they're supposedly, you know what I'm saying, creating their own little groups to go out and do shit.
Water this is, but I'm drinking it.
It was just here. It ain't open.
Sealed. I don't give a fuck.
But that was good. I ain't even thought about that shit.
Yeah.
But you're right. Now,
Dude, you tell me a problem, and I can tell you why they do it. I'm telling you, dude. I've hundreds of thousands of hours into this.
And I just want to say this: they don't teach you how to think in school. They teach you what to think, and they send you out into the world. And it's just look. It's bullshit, especially but this is the problem though, and just the way James said it. He just don't know, and he can only go off of what he was subjected to. And when we come along and say, "Well, this is what it is in our community," you're like, "Get the fuck out of here!" They don't do no shit like this. Oh yeah, they would.
Everybody in this room is 35 years old or greater. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I've written a mathematical thing on the. I know that people can't read this, but it's 5 plus 5 plus 5 times 5. What is the answer
35.
to this?
No. Hold on. Hold on. That's 15.
It should be 75.
Yep, 75. 75.
It's 35.
75.
It's 35.
35.
No, because you do the add. You add first.
No.
No, you don't. You
Order of
multiplication
operations,
first.
you
Multiplication first, you get 25. Then 5 plus 5 is 10. 35.
Plus 10.
I'd like to point out that I dropped out and got a GED.
But my
My
point.
bad.
Hey, I'm a math wizard. I can add I can do math, and we used to do like speed math tests. So it was like, so you had to be quick on it. So I can.
I used to be good at math.
It's
math.
order of
Yeah.
operations.
Yeah.
It's multiplication and division first, then addition and subtraction.
I had it
so in the
backwards.
absence of parentheses or anything like that.
Yeah.
So if you wanted to write this for idiots, you write 5 times 5 and parentheses plus 5 plus 5.
Yeah.
Or keyboard.
Okay. Yeah.
But fundamentally, it's implied that the order of operations is multiplication, division,
Yeah.
addition, subtraction. And this is what gets me, is that how do you not... I learned this shit in maybe 5th grade? 5th grade. I was 10.
Yeah.
I'm 37. And there are guaranteed people that for some reason, I'm forced to interchange with in social media and in life in general that do not possess that period of knowledge. People that are closer to having learned it than I am.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Barry.
I do not possess that knowledge.
But I will say this though, and this is what it's another thing. White folks, this is what they'll do. This is how they discredit you. It'll be something totally different. Let's say like, okay, Bill, you didn't know this, but then someone comes to you and asks you about something political, and you give your, you know what I'm saying, you're pretty good on political stuff, and it's perfect. They'll be like, well, he doesn't know how to add, and that's the way they discredit you.
Dude, I'm telling you.
I'm telling you, that's how they do you. They'll come with some shit that don't even.
And it's not his fault. It's not his fault. He doesn't want to think like that.
I
It's
know.
ingrained because
I
all
know.
white people are taught to think like that.
That's what I'm saying. It's not people's fault. That
You
conditioning.
know why you know that, James? Because you went to a good school in a well-funded area.
No, because I can do math. And I
Yeah,
argue.
But hang on. If you're in a neighborhood where they don't give a fuck if you can do math or not, and you can't tell me they don't exist,
You're
70% of people that graduate from Denver public high schools are basically illiterate.
Fine. But I could totally. What you're telling me is that I could game any drug dealer younger than me at this point. No, you gave me an 8. I could just work the math on them and be like, no, the multiplication.
I mean,
over
no,
here.
because
you ain't
they
gonna do
know
that.
what
Yeah, they
drugs
know.
are worth money.
How do they know math
They
for
don't
that
give
shit?
a fuck about your math.
All of
They
a
know
sudden-
that this many drugs is worth this much
All
money.
of a sudden, they know how to convert fucking
Yes.
fractions of an
Yes.
ounce into grams,
Yes.
but they can't fucking add 5
Yep.
plus 5.
Yep.
Jesus fucking bullshit. Matt, that's why I will take it out. Like, the way you understand history, the way you interpret the world around you, I will not question anybody's viewpoint on that. Math is... It's not arguable, at least at
No,
this
I get
level.
that. It's a universal language.
And that's
However,
why I choose
that
this as my
doesn't mean
argument.
everyone is taught that.
But this is what I'm
It
saying.
doesn't
though.
mean
This is
that
what I'm saying,
every-
though. But what you just wrote up there, simple. I know that. But what they'll do with Common Core, they will make that simple thing 30 times harder. And it's almost like they're trying to make it hard for you so you don't understand it, so you don't learn it. They're changing the entire curriculum. Just like, okay, you was talking about how they're trying to take arts out of school completely. And I feel that's a thing. It's a conditioning thing because arts make you want to look outside yourself. It makes you want to find answers and truth. To whereas they just want you, they just want to tell you what to think and then send you out there into the world so you can be controlled more easily versus you trying to critically think and find things outside of what they give you.
They're raising dumber and dumber children every day because it's easier to control a nation of idiots that were taught to obey from a young age.
That's why they never let
question.
niggas read, because they knew if we were dumb, then you could just tell us what the fuck ever, and we just had to believe it because we didn't know any better.
I have a thought on that, Hamill.
Also, the one thing I think we're missing too, also, is the fact that there's a lot of shitty parenting, man. Like a lot of it.
Yeah.
And
For sure.
But
and that goes back to what everything that happened in the 70s and 80s about family, like people in the 50s, like the thought of getting a divorce, like people would almost rather commit suicide.
That's what I'm talking
What's
about.
your thought
no,
on
hang on. It all ties together.
All right. Well, I mean, all right.
As soon as
fine,
you start
go.
decaying families, then it's easier for, like he said earlier,
Yeah.
as soon as your family decays, because like your parents stuck it out, good on them. But if your parents had been divorced, you'd have been like every other statistic like me. And then all of a sudden, like, your mom needs help. It's easier for her to get welfare and keep working her minimum wage job because, like, my dad decided not to pay child support. Now, all of a sudden, like, me and my sister are raised in a household where we're told to believe that the government is taking care of us. We have to believe the government. And I did until I was, like, 25, and I started being like, why doesn't this make sense? Like, let's look into this. Let's look into this. Like, I've been indoctrinated in that system. You can't tell me it doesn't exist.
But what's your parental thought?
My parental thought is that it went from being like, if the teacher calls and says that your kid is not doing well, you'd be like, oh fuck, you got to do your homework, you got to fucking come on, do better, come on, what the fuck. Instead now it's they go to the school, they yell at the fucking teacher, how fucking dare you, my child's a fucking special little fucking golden thing.
You're right.
And then that involves all of a sudden that like goes downhill, and then people start like dumbing shit down to the point where you have Common Core because they.
Oh no, you can't make that link. No, you
totally.
You can't do that. You can't make that link.
It's fucking it's like customer service.
Nah.
It's like, you know what I'm saying?
We have one parent in the room, and it would be irresponsible for us
Yeah.
not to hear your thought on that.
I
particular
can't
thought.
say that doesn't happen, but in a legitimate real world scenario, it is actually very rare that it happens in a schoolroom. Like, most teachers are realistic with kids. Like, no teacher is going to kiss a kid's ass all day, because if that kid thinks he's getting his ass kissed like he is at home, he's just going to ramp up behavior.
Let me tell you what's going to happen to Jake.
They're not, like, that's part of the problem they're having is, like, all these parents are like, oh, you're a beautiful ray of sunshine, and you deserve all the happiness, and you're my little princess. And then they go to school, and like, the fucking education industrial complex is like, you must conform to this. You are not special. It's like fucking Fight Club. Like, you don't even have a name anymore.
I have a different thought on that goes a little along with what both of you were saying. So while you may all accuse me of growing up appropriately in a very affluent time and place, I was not a good student. If anything about my current place in life is an indicator of that, there you go.
Chance, you could be a fucking millionaire if you wanted to be. Get your fuck out of there. Come on, I'm sorry. Keep
If
going.
I kill both my parents under mysterious circumstances, you're probably right. However, both of my parents had to work. They were both working 80 hours a week. They ran their own business. I didn't see them. I was basically raised by an au pair who also didn't give a shit. Granted, there's my privilege.
Could you, could you tell my nigga friends that's watching this what an au pair is, please?
An au pair is when you hire a pretty Eastern European from the other side of the what is it, the wall? What the fuck? The Iron Curtain.
Oh, yeah.
And you smuggle them here to work for pennies on the dollar to raise your kids, feed them, and clean the house. It's also called a maid and a bunch of things. But au pair, I don't even know how it's spelled. But I know that I had a lot of really hot Eastern Europeans in my house growing up. However, none of them gave me what a parent would. Not my parents, not they. I exhibited exactly what Jake's describing, where the teacher would be like, your kid's not doing this. And instead of my parents didn't go to the teacher and say, well, what the fuck? Because they had no context. They were just like, we got a call from your teacher. You need to do this. And then it was like back to whatever the fuck they were doing. Like, there wasn't a structure. There wasn't parental support in that sense.
Well, that's another thing, and this is why I tell people everybody's circumstances are different. Everybody's dealing with different stuff. Our conditioning is different. To whereas you, and this is a lot of white kids that grew up in, you know what I'm saying, that had money, the parents were in there because the parents had to work. And that's why there's a big disconnect between white kids and their parents, because they weren't around. They were raised by other motherfuckers that was just around, maids or servants or whatever the fuck y'all had. And so it's like literally I know white people or white kids, young white people that their parents are just money providers. You just provide me the money to be taking care of me because you was never around when I was a kid. I never really had a bond with you like that. So I'm just waiting for you to die so you can give me my money. That's your job. And I know a lot of motherfuckers like that. They think that way. To whereas black people, ethnic people we're more family based. We're more like, you know, it is what it is. Like you, my family, is that and other. To whereas we have a strong connection because there's always somebody in the black home. Well, it used to be. Now it isn't, but there was always a grandmama, an auntie, an uncle. Somebody was at the house to where you had that bond with your family.
And that's very true. Go ahead.
And also, I mean, this is very unpopular, but whatever. Also, teachers, when they get towards the end, just stop giving a fuck.
It ain't even towards the end, Joe. I was doing some mentoring at these schools. Dude, these motherfucking teachers look defeated. Yeah, like they just, you can see it in their fucking eyes. Like they just,
dude, where I went to school, it was a lot of the people that already had tenure. And tenure is the worst thing in my opinion ever. Like you can't get rid of people. You can't. It's fucking impossible.
You
can't do it.
Not with that.
No.
I wouldn't think you would disagree with that. I want to know why you disagree when we get done.
New York State's fucked up. That's where I went to high school. In fact, in the city, there was like reports of like all these teachers doing awful shit down in the city. They like touching children, shit like that. They can't fucking fire them. But obviously you can't let them teach. So they go to a fucking building, sit there from fucking 8 to 3, and then go home. That's their job then. They still get paid because there's when I went to high school,
because their union is so strong.
That too, yeah. And
fuck unions.
And fuck
all unions now. Come on.
They're necessary evil. Anyway,
yeah.
In my high school, I had 3 or 4 teachers that I can remember that were like close to retirement. I had one teacher who would show up, and it was his last year he ever teach. He showed up. It was math, 9th grade math. He would show up, hungover as fuck, and then just put his feet up on the table and just fucking put sunglasses on. Our final exam was a fucking worksheet that none of us even fucking filled out. And then I got an A. I don't know the fuck that happened because he didn't give a fuck. And that was the thing. They got their tenure. They don't care. They got a decent job now where it's like middle classy-ish, you know? And they're fine. They're like, fuck it, I don't give a shit anymore. And I ran into that a bunch. I'm not saying they're all like that, but from my perspective, from what I had to fucking deal with, that is what I saw. That's why when I see teachers going, we're heroes, I'm like, fucking pump the brakes.
Can I say something real quick about Jacob right quick?
Yeah. Come on.
Don't you ever let Jacob Hamill get no motherfucking money. Jacob Hamill want to be a rich white man so bad. He's already got that train of thought to where if he gets some money, he like, fuck you niggas.
Okay. I believe that you had that education, Jacob Hamill. I absolutely believe it. Now imagine that same teacher that doesn't give a fuck in a dangerous environment. Paid fucking shit.
Well, then if you're getting paid shit, then that's like
that's my entire high school, man.
That fucking Oklahoma teacher who showed like her check stub $300 a week. You fucking serious? Like that was crazy. Like that's not okay. But the ones that I dealt with, they're tenured, they're 20 years in, they're making like 50, 60, 70,000 fucking dollars a year, and they just don't give a fuck.
Dude, it's now school is just a thing you do throughout your day. It's not important.
It's you just go there. Daycare center.
Exactly. Yeah. It's daycare. It's a daycare. That's exactly what it is.
It's a daycare center where you're indoctrinated all day with a way to think, a way to learn, a way to not think and learn at the same time.
Yep.
Like they're teaching these kids at the youngest possible age exactly what they want them to believe. That way they're one generation closer to erasing everything that resembles thought.
And with these liberal colleges, they are fucking women up. Like these colleges are they're just far left wing people teaching motherfuckers that's the
what
thought.
Fucking look, as somebody that is very generally speaking, I'm pretty much a libertarian, but in a lot of respects very conservative. Not to the point of like abject racism, but pretty conservative. The purpose of fucking your first 25 years on life is to be as liberal and as fucking progressive as you can be, because that's where that comes from. The new thoughts, the fresh thoughts, the ones without context. Yes. And
I absolutely agree with you.
Yeah, we agree with you, Jay.
I 100% agree on that.
Hold on. And the reason that you give tenure to good professors, yes, caveat, good professors,
Yeah.
teachers, educators, etc., is because their purpose of giving them tenure is they are now allowed to teach the shit that the program has told them not to teach. That's the reason. That was the reason. It's used maliciously, it's used out of laziness. Absolutely. Like all good things, it's been perverted to be awful. I am proponent of tenure because you know what? You bring in a great educator, a great one that has had to work within it, and all of a sudden you'd be like, you're safe, and he turns that corner and says, let me tell you how it fucking really is. Let me tell you how to look at problems in a real critical fucking way. Those are the educators you want. The ones that are free of fear of being killed. Be it free of fear of being fired because they decided to put some ad lib in the textbook. It's not that there, but yeah, we kind of killed black people. Like, now it sounds like we're getting to the point where some educator would be like, oh, and by the way, we killed a ton of fucking black people and also bred them to suit our needs like fucking animals. And if they said that in middle school and high school today, they'd never get to tenure. Those are the ones you want to have tenure.
But the point is, anyone who sticks it out for a period of time gets tenure by default.
Yeah, that's the
thing.
But that's very much an old school. Like, you don't see that anymore. Like, we saw that, but
what?
You don't see a lot of old school. They're doing that sort of out of. They're letting them have it just to get them through
because
the system.
they've already set up a series of teachers that are now indoctrinated to teach this new way of thinking. It's not like some government guy was like, if we can make kids dumber but still make them feel like they're getting educated, let's just change all of education. No, man, you have to start, like, someone's got to come up with a new way to, like, teach these kids. Then they got to teach the teachers how to teach these kids. Then they can teach these kids. All of these young teachers that you're talking about, where all these old teachers are disappearing, it's because there's a generation of new teachers that have been taught what they want the children to learn now.
Exactly, and that's what I'm saying. Also,
that's why college changed so drastically in the last 15 fucking years.
He has a point.
The education system across the entire board in the last 20 years has completely shifted.
Once again, you're also looking at it as like these great teachers are moral individuals. They might be great teachers in what they want you to believe. You know what I'm saying? So they're still fucking up your thought process. You know what I'm saying? Because you're thinking in terms of like, oh, this is a teacher, they're moral, they're going to teach their kids what they need to know, now they have tenure.
But I don't need a teacher to teach my kids, or me for that matter, what morals are. Morals are what comes from somewhere else. They're supposed to give me information in the best way I have.
The teacher has to be moral to give the appropriate information. Like, I have to be moral. If I'm a teacher, I have to be moral to say, I want these kids to learn. I am going to teach these kids how to think. But if I'm immoral, I'm going to teach these kids what I believe is the truth, and I'm going to give it to them.
But don't you feel like that's somewhat malicious? Do you honestly?
Yes, it's malicious.
But do you
in
think
nature? But you gotta look at the understanding. If I believe what I believe to be true, I'm not thinking it's malicious if I'm giving it to them. As a teacher, I have to say my thoughts have to be biased. I'm giving these kids what they need to learn to enhance their thinking, to figure it out themselves. Not tell them because I believe this is what you should believe. That is malicious. But if you believe it, you don't think it's malicious within yourself.
So between the two of you, do you believe that there are teachers, and even Hamill, because I think you and I are a little bit on the same page, a little bit, but open it up. But do you believe that there are teachers out there imposing the will that Armstrong's proposing?
Yeah, there are.
Dude, let me tell you what I do.
Some.
I watch college these talks that they bring these people in to have. These are like Nazi rallies and shit. It's
like the TED Talks and
no.
Talking...
When they actually go to these universities, these high-profile universities, they have these speakers come in and they just talk to the student body, and it's propaganda. Like, it's so fucking crazy the shit they let them come in there and say.
I experienced that. I'll comment on it.
Example.
But I went through. I went to the University of Southern California. We had a lot of those, like, hey, this guy's going to speak here. And you're just like, oh, that's a name I've heard. And you go to that. And it's exactly as you're describing, where it is just, in retrospect, I can look at that and be like, that's 100% propaganda. Yeah. It is this. But the reason that they do that is dissenting opinion we assume that people of a college age are able to draw their own conclusions. I think that now is something of an overreach because I don't think that most of them are, but some of them are.
They don't want their shit challenged. That's the problem.
But that's the thing. You have to have your thoughts challenged. But if you're going to have one person that's far left, I feel like you got to have the next person come in that's this way to give them the idea to say, okay, let me look at both of these.
And I have a huge thought on that, but go ahead, Bear.
So you're talking about these propaganda rallies at these colleges or whatever, and
if you want to call it that, but it's a guest lecturer.
Sure, but like he's definitely giving his opinion on these things. I don't have a problem with that as long as it opens a conversation. I don't even remember what the fuck I was pissed off about. Like, you said something that fucking, like, it struck a chord with me.
Here,
like,
I'll give you one. So, when you talk about stuff happening at colleges, and it's usually they balance it with somebody that's, like you described, somebody on one side versus somebody on the other. Recently, I had a discourse with a friend of mine and a litany of his Facebook friends who all called me insane. Because Colorado Public Radio allowed somebody on their airwaves and was interviewed that was advocating some very, very right-wing shit. Like a super America first, super
nationalist as fuck.
Nationalist. Yeah. And they were like, this guy does not, they shouldn't put that on the public airwaves. I'm like, fuck yes, they should. They should put it all.
If they're gonna put any of them on the air, they should put everyone on the air.
Yeah,
like everyone should get the voice.
There's an agenda, man. They're like, we'll put this person on there. Don't put that person on there.
Everything's got a fucking agenda.
Exactly. But that's the fucked up part about it.
They're upset because they didn't challenge this person because you don't want it. If it's public fucking radio, it's supposed to be even. It's like, give this guy a voice, give you a voice, give you a voice. Don't challenge it. Ask questions. Don't tell them they're wrong. Don't make them sound awful. The listener, viewer, whoever's absorbing this, it's their fucking responsibility and their right to decide how they want to proceed with that information.
Here's what it is.
That's freedom of speech.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. There's a system where the majority of listeners, I'm assuming, I don't listen to open air. Is that AM or FM? I don't really give a fuck, honestly.
FM, right? FM.
CPR.
At the end of the day, I'm willing to bet that it is mostly the liberal population of the Denver metropolitan area that is listening to this station, but I'm sure it reaches out into the country from time to time, seriously because of altitude.
Yeah, I agree.
My guess is some guy that lives out in the country is stuck listening to this shit because it's the only thing that he can pick up in his fucking work truck. And he finally decides to, like, call in and stick up for himself. And the people that are in here that give a fuck, like the people on your friend's friend or whatever.
Right.
Those people probably are based here where everyone believes the same liberal thing for the most part. And they're outraged that this guy could have an opinion opposite of theirs on the radio because they believe that what they believe is 100% correct. Religion is just like fucking politics, is just like fucking everything else. Like, religion is set up to divide people because if you can divide people and they can fight against each other over something that doesn't really fucking matter at the end of the day, they're not going to come together to fight against what's actually corrupt.
Yeah.
I'm going to tag one onto this, and I'm going to bury myself with some people that I consider close friends.
Tell the truth, James.
But it's something that I fundamentally agree with.
Tell the truth, James.
Go ahead, Hamill.
Making headlines.
So there is a general sentiment among people that I have respect for to punch Nazis. No,
it's the dumbest fucking thing on the fucking planet. If I saw a guy just punch a Nazi because he was like, if the Nazi didn't provoke it, if a Nazi just standing in the corner and some guy runs up and punches him because he's a fucking Nazi, I want to be first in line to punch that fucking guy.
Okay.
I'm not saying Nazis don't deserve to be hit.
Leave that thought there because that's exactly what I needed to hear. You seem like you have a thought. I want to play this around the room a little bit.
A lot of people do fucked up shit under righteous causes. They're thinking like, oh, this is a Nazi. They did these bad things. I'm going to save the world by punching this Nazi. And it's the same way as if, okay, let's say you're a gay dude and you have that feeling. But someone hates you because you're gay. But you hate this dude because he's a Nazi. You see what I'm saying? Like, that thought is ridiculous because you have people that hate you for what you are. If a motherfucker, I don't give a, you could be a Nazi till your heart explodes. If you ain't fucking with nobody, be a Nazi. Stay the fuck out my way. I don't give a fuck what you do. But if you're doing something, yes, I'm gonna punch any motherfucker that's doing something wrong to another motherfucker. It ain't got to be a Nazi.
So let's describe the person. We'll just before you go, Hamill, because I do want to get your thoughts. But it's evident after the two.
You said you're going to describe the person. I have 2 questions. How old is this person, roughly? Like, you can give me a 5-year window.
Okay, I'll get there.
Like, are we 10-year-old?
Well, now I want to hear Hamill's before I get going on that because you're delving this. So, punch a Nazi thoughts?
Fuck no. It's like what Armstrong said and Bear said, but at the same time, like, it's you can't say you're taking the high road when you're just flat out blasting motherfuckers while they're not looking. That ain't taking the fucking high road. You're not like some moral support. Like you don't have moral support. I can't fucking talk. Superiority.
The people are not.
Yeah,
like,
you can't have the high road when you're blasting people who aren't looking. It's not right. And also it goes against a lot of liberal tendency or like philosophy because of the fact of like it's always been. You can say what you want, as fucked up as it is. We will give you have that right to say it. As long as you don't start fucking throwing hands, or start, being assholes like really bad where it becomes dangerous, then I got to defend myself. But at this, I'm saying, like, I don't like it. I don't like when people brag about it. I think it's a terrible.
Let me say this one thing. You can't say what the fuck you want to say. You get beat the fuck up for that. Be respectful.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Well, totally. Yeah.
Go ahead, Bear. You've been fucking freaking out like I do.
So here's the thing. All these people believe that it's okay to believe that they can go punch a Nazi because of the moral high ground. Like, they believe they're righteous and they believe that this is the right thing to do for a better world because they've been conditioned to believe this. This is the new religion. This is the new this is the new politics. This self-righteous behavior, this like we have to rise above and be amoral of everything. This is the new thing that's going to divide everyone. But it's not just comedy. It's not just politics. Like, people either believe or don't believe. Like, I get it, man. Fucking Nazis suck.
Totally.
I'm not pro-Nazi at all. But you can't just blast a Nazi. Because it's still a human fucking being at the end of the day. But like, if he provokes something, dude, beat his ass. If no one's looking, hit him with a crowbar.
But this is the thing. A Nazi isn't even a person. It's an idea.
Yeah.
It's an idea. So you're not punching the idea. You're punching the person. So
but you can't. You can totally punch the idea because that idea is wrong, and this guy represents that idea. That's why it's okay for me to punch this guy.
But that's
okay, James. How old is this person?
He's about our age, maybe 3 years younger than the youngest of us.
No, I need. I don't know what the
so
gauge
like 30.
is. I know that
like
I'm
31,
the oldest.
32.
Let's call him
32.
early to mid 30s.
Yeah.
Okay, so those are they started getting the conditioning right after I left high school. They changed all the requirements for graduation, and it wasn't even based on credits anymore. It was now based on a portfolio. And this is one because I had friends that stayed in high school. I had like relatives that were still like I've always had someone close to me in the education system continuing what my kids are going through now. And they just continue to dumb down the education system. And if you go like 4 years under, like if you're guessing mid-30, that's 7 years under me. That's a completely different education system than I went through. These people were grown up. They were raised to believe that you want everything to be like this. You want everything to be like this.
Can I tell you what it is, though?
We have to be good. We have to be good. We have to treat everyone with respect. You're all snowflakes. You're all snowflakes.
I'm going to tell you 2 things.
And this guy believes that he can punch a fucking Nazi because he's a snowflake and the rest of the snowflakes agree with him.
Let me tell you 2 things.
Dude, this is the new religion.
That's a different way of looking at it.
First of all, let me say this. You'll have a motherfucker that will punch a Nazi under this righteous
I bet we can
cause,
YouTube
but
30 videos
he'll go
right
home
now.
and fuck a little kid. For real. This is how motherfuckers think, man. They're like, oh, well, I did a good thing today. Let me go fuck Timmy in his ass. But look, and also,
okay.
Hold on. Let me say this about what Bill was saying. That's Western civilization. That's the idea of it's make it look good on the outside, and it's evil behind it. We have this, we push this idea of we're these wholesome people, this, that, and the other. So it's like when you see a Nazi, it's your conditioning, like you say, it tells you to knock that out because that's not what we are. But that is what we are. We're evil. We're fucking evil, maniacal people, but we put forth this facade like we're these great people and we care about everything. You can't care about every motherfucking thing.
It's not even that you can't care about everything. It's that they've been conditioned to eradicate anything that's different.
Well, yeah, definitely.
If you don't fit into the normal, you're bad. You have to go. How do we erase what's not the normal? What's not the narrative?
You villainize it.
And it's fucking crazy.
And then
like,
you
it
make
is one of the
everybody-
scariest things ever.
It makes no sense. Like, okay, let's case in point today. I was saying all this shit about, you know what I'm saying, white dicks and shit. Motherfuckers getting on me. Like, oh, you should be saying this, that, and the other. Then when people like, well, he's a comedian. Oh, well, he's a comedian. It's just funny. It's not real. Fine. But if I say something that's real, motherfuckers get mad at me because now I'm going against your thinking. I'm making you think outside of what you've been taught. People get mad about that, man, because a lot of times,
Oh, yeah, because as soon as you have to think outside of what you've been taught, you have to accept that everything you've been taught might not be right.
And that's what it is.
No one wants to give up that comfort.
But you gotta understand,
That's
how
why the
scary that is,
Midwest
though.
voted for Trump, because they don't want to, like, it can't be a woman. Like, we'll figure this out without a woman, and this woman doesn't care about us even if there was two women. Like, this bitch is just wrong on every count. This guy's saying jobs. We haven't heard jobs in like fucking 10 years. Let's jump on that job train.
I understand that. That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't shit on people.
But people don't understand that. And it's
exactly,
crazy
because
to me.
nobody. This is why I'm at the point in my life where I'm at, because I went on a crusade to challenge all my thoughts. It's uncomfortable as fuck to sit there and listen to white people be pro-racism and all this shit, but you have to do it. You have to challenge your thoughts to evolve to a new state of mentality, to whereas you're going away from what the fuck you've been conditioned to think, and you create a new way of thinking, and people are so afraid of that shit. But I did that myself because I wanted to be more intelligent. I wanted to be smarter. I wanted to find a solution that people haven't come up with, because what we're doing ain't working.
Yeah, I don't know.
I missed a good 45 seconds in there. However, this is about 9 months ago. I'm going to read you a text interchange that pretty much well sums up my views on it as well as the countering views. And I apologize to the person whose text messages I am reading. I'm not going to tell you whose they are. I'm going to try to keep it
we are going to
vague
give
as
out the phone
possible.
number.
I am now arguing with my sister why beating Nazis is a good thing. To which I respond, wait, which side are you on that? He says, I am firmly on the side of there is never a time when beating Nazis is a bad thing. To which I replied, I would soundly disagree with that statement. Not because there's a special place in my heart for them. Violence begets violence. Don't give them the fuel. The me side of my brain remembers a shirt that was once given to me that I will never wear that read, what about all the good things Hitler did? And his response was, I look at it as my grandfather bombed the shit out of the Nazis. Why? Because they hold a vile view of the world. I would gladly beat the ever-lizzing piss out of a Nazi because they are Nazis.
Can we bomb white people then?
And this went on for quite some time.
Because, I mean, if we look at circumstances and perspectives, that's the way a lot of white people look at, black people look at white people as that you are Nazis to us. That's what the fuck y'all did. Y'all did the same thing to us what Nazis did to the fucking Jews.
Also, I get really fucking annoyed when I see some 20-something or 30-something being like, my granddaddy, he fought the Nazis. Like your granddad was the only guy flying a fucking bombardier through fucking Berlin. My grandfather was in fucking North Africa, driving a supply truck behind enemy lines, got shot at many times, has a purple, or no, whatever it is, you get shot in fucking action. Purple heart. He has two of them. He didn't really talk about it, but I don't use that as an excuse to fucking have some sort of weird, like, I gotta put, ooh, my granddaddy would want me to hit you. Like, no, what the fuck?
No,
that's because you were still raised at a time where it was okay to think about stuff.
But my sentiment here is, I agree, because we are already less than 80 years removed from the fall of the Third Reich, forgotten what it took to make, what it was, how awful it was. And there are so many people, and this is the weird thing, is that disproportionately the southern part of this country, specifically below what's used to be the Mason-Dixon line, is like 70% of our military. So these would have been Confederates, okay? These are the same people. It wasn't a bunch of rich fucking Northeast motherfuckers that went and ended the Nazis is a bunch of good old boys that were familiar with weapons that went over there and fucking fucked some shit up. I know we deify the doctors that we went over there, but at the end of the day, the bulk of our military comes from the Deep South.
That's why you go down that, man. Let me tell you,
it comes from anywhere there's poor people, man. They come from the Deep South. They come from the Midwest. They come from all of that.
Hillbillies know what's going on, man. I got a couple hillbilly friends. Them motherfuckers. I'm telling you, get you some hillbillies. That when shit hit the fan, you're gonna need some hillbillies in your life.
But the problem is that for real, if that's the same group of people that we sent to World War II, or that voluntarily went to World War II, that voluntarily went to Vietnam, that are voluntarily being Nazis now, that's kind of fucked up. Like, there's a lot of people who's, like he described, his grandfather went and helped kill Nazis that are now Nazis or self-described Nazis. That's the problem. Like, how haven't we learned this?
So you have to look at, we're coming from a place of ignorance. Are they identifying with Nazis because they killed Jews, or are they identifying with the idea behind what Nazi stood for?
It's a nationalism.
Nationalism
is what it is. Yeah. It could be white nationalism, it could be black nationalism, but it's nationalism. This is the way it's perfect. Fuck all other comers. This is the way I want my country to be.
And that's what I'm saying. I try not to be ignorant. I try to look at things through and through, and you got to understand it. A lot of it is just circumstance and perception, and you have to you have to talk to these people. And you have to be okay with these motherfuckers not agreeing with the fuck you say. Some motherfuckers just ain't gonna be on board. It is what it is. But as long as you ain't doing shit, if you just have this idea of this whatever, that's fine. Keep your idea. Teach your people that. Just don't do shit to nobody except other motherfuckers for what they got going on, and just respect people, man. You can't. I hate the way they try to legislate thinking. You can't tell me or legislate what the fuck to think. Yeah. You have to let me think what I'm gonna think. Now, if you think it's wrong, let me know why it's wrong. But you also gotta be okay with me not agreeing with you and me still doing what the fuck I'm doing. The end.
Now, how many people older than you are arguing with you?
About what?
About like what you think or what you say. It's always someone younger that's like.
Well, yeah. No, because that's what it is. Older motherfuckers like, all right. You know what I'm saying? It's like
right, because they don't give a fuck. It's all these young people that are conditioned to think a certain way. Now they're standing up against what they were conditioned to believe was wrong.
Dude, when I first started doing comedy, I started doing comedy outside of these road gigs in these little ass podunk cowboy boot wearing with spurs on them towns and shit. I'm like, yo, this race humor ain't gonna go over that well. Them my best audiences. They don't give a fuck. They're just looking for a joke. They don't give a fuck about white people, black people. They don't give a fuck. I just want to have fun. But whereas you do a show up in Boulder or Fort Collins, you get these young girls of college age, Joe, they're looking for every trigger word you say. Oh, you can't say that.
They're not there to have fun. They're there to get upset about something.
They're there to be this fucked up form of righteous. Oh, I'm saving the world by telling you your joke is offensive. Get the fuck out of here.
I'm going to try to slowly transition us out of the 80-minute diatribe we've collectively been on, but I'm not going to help that with the headline, Judge to decide if Nazi quote-unquote troll storm is protected speech.
Is this the dog thing or no?
I don't know, but it was amazing. And if you want the whole story, give me 2 goddamn seconds and I'll pull it.
All right, because if it's if the story that if this is what no, I don't think this is the same story. My bad. I'm thinking of the guy Count Dankula. Out in Scotland?
No, this is in Montana.
Oh, fuck. Okay, so
Missoula, Montana. Attorneys for a neo-Nazi website publisher and a Montana woman asked a judge Tuesday to decide whether the white nationalist had a First Amendment right to unleash a quote-unquote troll storm of anti-Semitic messages and threats against the Jewish woman's family.
Threats, no. But
so now you punched them motherfuckers. Yeah. You beat them the fuck up.
Yeah.
Because now you're going after somebody you're attacking.
Correct. I agree. Yeah. If you're going to make threats like that,
then yes, fuck
I agree.
You're fucked up.
Yeah. If you just want to be like, no, I don't want if you X group around and identify as a Nazi, don't punch that guy. If he says, if I see X group, I'm going to punch them, then punch him first.
Yeah, totally. No,
fine.
Yeah, that's the guy you punch. Totally. Without a fucking doubt. Because now he's being harassing about it.
I believe vengeance should be legal. Like, if somebody does something to you and you take it upon yourself to go after that person, whatever happens, happens. Now, if you get fucked up, you get fucked up. You get that motherfucker, you get that motherfucker. But if a motherfucker legitimately did some shit to you like that, and I go after them, it shouldn't be a law thing. And that would even the plane with a lot of motherfuckers just out here saying shit to people if they know with some repercussions behind it.
But my question, but the point here is that First Amendment. So I am allowed to say reprehensible things to you, and as you are able to say that to me. The repercussions of which would be maybe worst case scenario, I physically harm you for having said them, yeah? Which is punishable.
That's what I'm saying.
But me saying them or you saying them to me is not.
That's bullshit. That's bullshit. That is bullshit. That you should not be able to say what the fuck you want to me. Some motherfuckers don't talk. Some people on you they last motherfucking straw when you decide to say some shit to them. So if you're going to make it legal for you to say anything you want to say, you should make it legal for me to fuck you up behind it.
Well, and there can be a case made where any of you, if I said something reprehensible that forced you to feel compelled to punch me in the face, that we would go to court and you would say, yeah, but he said this. Chances are, if I said something so awful that any one of you three felt compelled to punch me in the fucking face, that 12 other people probably agree with you. Go ahead, Hamill.
The problem with that is that it sounds great, but it's a surplus. It's a super. I can't talk to it. What the fuck
wrong with you, man?
Thank you. God damn, it's like I fucking.
What was the word?
It's like you smoked weed.
I know, right? But
a slippery slope.
The problem you're gonna have with that is then people down the road are gonna be like, well, he said this and it was nothing really, and then that guy gets hit and then nothing happens because you're triggered. You know what I mean? And people can get triggered over the stupid shit
because they're conditioning all these people to believe that that's the acceptable behavior.
I know, but what I'm saying is that if you allow people to just fight people over that and not have it be like where you're like, yeah, he said that, but you hit him, so you're in the wrong for hitting him. That, I mean, I understand what you're saying. If some dude's saying some super fucking egregious shit, yeah, totally. But again, I mean, it could be someone being like, well, you know,
and that's a case by case basis,
exactly.
which is it should not set a precedent.
And that's the problem with a lot of stuff.
But that's how we're run though, as the law.
Whenever
precedent.
you say we should try this, everybody comes from the worst case scenario. Well, what if this happens?
That's what the First Amendment is there to protect. Is the worst case scenario. Yeah. It's there to protect the fucking speech that makes you angry, the shit you disagree with. That's why it's there. It's not there to protect the fucking frou-frou bullshit. It's there for me to be able to drop the N-bomb, to drop all kinds of shit, to be like, yep, sorry, you can't take legal action against that. Can you punch me in the face because I drop an N-bomb on you? Yeah, and if we go to court and the whole fucking 12 people be like, why? I would have punched him in the face too.
But
then I'm gonna lose that case.
It don't matter. That's still assault.
Yeah, but that
no,
now you're talking.
Be turned down.
Okay. Hang on. But now you are changing the laws of what assault and battery are because people feel the same way you feel. This mob mentality is now changing the definition of assault and battery because.
Wheels off and let humans just figure it out they motherfucking selves. Motherfuckers gonna get fucked up. Some people gonna get fucked up unfairly. It is what it is. But as long as we try to legislate this shit, there'll be people in high places that can manipulate that system. So there's always gonna be people that can buck the system and other motherfuckers that's gonna get shitted on by the system. So you just take the motherfucking wheels off. You say something, you get your ass fucked up. It is what it is. If you go try to fuck somebody up and they fuck you up, you made that decision to go there. You didn't have the motherfucker, whatever to get them. So it is what it is. You get what you get.
Well, I mean, totally. No, I mean, like, schoolyard rules type of shit.
Yeah.
For sure.
Like, for sure.
Yeah.
Except that people now aren't taught that that's an acceptable way to behave. People now are taught to let the system solve it for you.
Because that's making people docile, so you won't fucking fight. You know what I'm saying? We're taught to look the other way, turn the other cheek. You do it with our words when motherfuckers are killing us. You see what I'm saying? That makes no sense. So you have this idea that violence is wrong, but you're steady getting fucked up by the motherfuckers that's telling you violence is wrong. And that's what they want to do. They want you to be out here just saying shit while they fuck you up, and you not think to fuck them up because they taught you that that's wrong. That's why the fuck they going after men. We're aggressive. That's who the fuck we are. That's our nature. We beat motherfuckers up. That's why we the way we are. And you binding our hands. And that's why motherfuckers going crazy. Because you got motherfuckers that's saying all sorts of shit to me, but I can't do shit to you. Because I don't want to talk to you. I want to fuck you up. But you can say whatever you want to say to me. You see what I'm saying? We need to
I fully believe, dude. I don't care if it's a wrestling move. I don't care if it's a fist fight. I don't care if it's an MMA.
I don't care if it's a fucking duel, as long as you both agree to it.
Yeah.
The problem is that'll never happen because everyone is programmed now. Dude, if I fucking punch this guy, I gotta go to fucking court. He's gonna fucking lawyer up.
Yeah.
Like, people fear the system getting involved because then it's a whole different matter. So, like, a lot of people don't think they're going to get their ass whooped because people don't want to have to deal with the police. People don't want to have to deal with lawyers, so they can just fucking spout off whatever the fuck they believe.
Yeah. I mean, like a dual thing should be available.
I feel like every kid should go through military training and be taught how to fight. So many motherfuckers out here too scared to get their ass whooped. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's why motherfuckers get shot and killed. Teach these motherfuckers how to fight when they young. Stop letting them be bitches. And then they'll have more confidence in themselves. A lot of times, motherfuckers that know how to fight, they don't even fight because they know they can fight. They ain't worried about it.
But what the problem with encouraging kids to fight is that it raises aggression and self-confidence. If you have an aggressive self-confidence, if you have a generation of kids that are both aggressive and self-confident because they learn how to fight and they can get past that, those kids are harder to control in the future.
See, and that's the problem. It's all about control. Fuck that. You gotta raise men to be men. Stop raising these motherfuckers to be bitches, because that's giving us a whole nother problem. Men need to learn how to defend themselves and defend their family with their motherfucking hands before they get guns and shit.
We are a generation of men, for the most part, raised by women.
But
these men, if you go back like to where when we were kids, Hamill, how many hours a week did your dad have to work?
40 plus, 50 sometimes.
I bet even 60 at points, right? Yeah. And so you were raised by your mom, if she didn't also have a job.
No, she pretty much was a stay-at-home mom for most of it.
Okay, so you had your mom raise you.
Pretty much.
Both of your parents around?
No.
Yeah.
I was raised. I did a whole thing about how I was raised by my mom. I had this female attitude and mentality. It took me to go out to the world and figure out what it was to think like a man, to think logically and emotionally, because that's what I was given. And even if your mother tries to teach you as a man, you're still absorbing those feminine vibes off of her.
Oh, for sure. So you were raised by I was raised by my mom.
I was raised
by my mom with a sister.
Yeah.
You were raised by an au pair?
I was raised by an Eastern European with nice tits and a hairy bush.
But a woman just the same. Probably a series of them?
Yes.
So none of us were raised by men. Hamill's the closest.
I see where you're going with that, but
but like it's indicative. Like, we're a generation raised by women, and then half of these men don't figure it out by the time they hit adulthood, and so they're raising the next generation along with women. Now you've got men also raising kids like women.
But that's a naive way of looking at it, because
it's not a naive way of looking at it. It's a planned way of looking at it.
The only way, because so let's just say most of our mothers were stay at home, or in the case of my mother, she was at home, but she had a portion of the house that was her home office, so she ran a business, and I wasn't allowed in. So, not home. It used to be that you were raised by your father in that you followed his footsteps. You did the job that he was doing. You were taught to farm. You were taught to do the industry. He would show you metalworking, mining, etc. You were brought into that early on. Once the Industrial Revolution kind of settled and it became a little more enterprise to the way it is, that died and it became the stay-at-home mom. So it's not that we couldn't have been raised by our fathers. It's that everything shifted so that we wouldn't be. And it's not
for sure. And you don't think that wasn't on purpose?
I don't think I think it's a byproduct of the fact that we wanted to subjugate women. The same way we want to subjugate black people.
Oh, for sure.
It's like white men need to run industry. We need to have all blah, 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 blah.
Absolutely. And if you can subjugate women and then have these women raise these kids, and these kids are raised like to learn to think like women, and then they raise another generation that's even more feminine.
Which is where we are now.
Exactly.
Is what you're saying.
Oh, for sure.
And
here's what's fucked up is like that men want to be men, like you say. Like, why do you think all of a sudden there's such a big push on beard and mustache? Because it's something that they can give men to feel like men, to look like men, but it doesn't actually accomplish shit. It's not teaching a man how to fix a car. It's not teaching a man how to fix a home appliance or like electricity in the house or like if your furnace goes out. It just gives men the ability to look and feel like a man visually.
See, and what Bear is said. Bear kind of quantifies what a man is off of what he does, and I agree with that. But it's all derivative of the way a man thinks. We don't cultivate men that think like men. We're cultivating men that think like women, and it's not going well because we're different, man. You have to be a man that's logical and righteous. We teach men to lie to women to make them feel better. You have to tell women the truth because nobody else is going to tell them the truth, man. They're going to lie to each other. You have to be the man to give them logic, and we have to raise men to cultivate their minds. And all this other shit is a derivative of the way we're cultivating these people's thought process.
I want to clarify.
What's up?
So if I have to surmise what you just said, you said that because we are being raised like women, men are lying to women.
Yes. They're lying to women. Society is lying to men about what women want. They send men out into the world saying like, "Oh, just be nice to women, be a gentleman, open a car door for shit that yeah."
Chivalry that carried us through like 1,000 years.
Remember when it was cool to like be into cars and stuff like across the board? Like Tim Allen was a big proponent of that. Yeah. Remember when it was cool when I was encouraged? And then all of a sudden, all you heard for the longest time was metrosexual, 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 metrosexual. Is the feminizing of the male species. Kids weren't pushed to go to tech schools anymore. Kids weren't pushed to learn trades anymore.
Well, that actually was just a shift of the industry, though. That was just a shift of we don't need that anymore. Let's focus over here. But they're also raising women to be like men. To where, do you understand how many young girls I hear saying, bro? It blows my fucking mind. I hate that shit, man. Bro, you a chick. Act like a fucking chick, man. You know what I'm saying? But they fucking up the process.
So you're not down with gender fluidity?
It just
let me just crack that door.
If that's
open.
who you like, I have homegirls that are just tomboys. You know.
Yeah.
So it is what it is.
Sure.
But now it's not even like the tomboys that's doing it. You know what I'm saying? Like, if that's just who you are, be who that. But it just seems forced. You see these nice little pretty-ass girls. Hey, bro, that ain't you. You know what I'm saying? You're doing this because that's what's being presented to you. It's kind of like they're trying to boost women up over men because men subjugated women for so long.
Did we just subjugate women, or did we subjugate anything that wasn't man?
What do you mean?
We subjugated anything that wasn't white male.
Okay, going back to like bringing it all in, fine. We can bring in white into this, but keeping race out of it generally, men, did we completely, how responsible are we as men, as bastions of all men that came before us, for completely shitting on anybody that decided they were not male?
Let me tell you.
Now, it doesn't matter if they are or aren't, but anybody decided by God's being or whatever that they're not male.
Let me tell you what this feminist movement has really.
But is it a feminist?
No. Let me just say.
I just have a really quick question.
What's up?
Are you talking about that? Like, are you talking about transgender people? Or are you
I'm talking about
the
anybody
general populace just being bitch
non-male. Anybody that the four of us were born with a dick and balls, and we have grown to our 30s believing that dick and balls makes us a guy. What have we done to anybody that doesn't have those two qualifiers?
But I mean, if you're going to teach that, why aren't you going to teach a woman if she has a pussy, then she's a woman?
It's not about teaching. It's about
You said teaching.
no,
I just said
as
teaching.
males. Maybe I did. My apologies. Misspoke. If we are people that embody the way that we are born and the way that we treat anybody that is not exactly as we are, male with dick and balls, how have we treated anybody that does not qualify for those two things?
I don't get what you're going.
Okay. I kind of see. I think I see where you're going. I'm going to throw this out there, and you can tell me if I'm in the right ballpark or not. Okay.
Okay.
While I don't disparage anyone intentionally outside of my friends and loved ones, like if I'm walking with a female companion or if I'm walking with my kids or my mom or something, I'll make sure that they are away from traffic, like in parking lots and on sidewalks and shit like that. And it's not because, like, they're weak. It's not because they're whatever. It's because, as the man in that situation, I'm the one that's got to take the brunt of whatever may happen, worst-case scenario.
The older brother situation, basically.
And it is crazy how people even 3 to 4 years younger are just raised in a different part of the country or whatever. It kills me how many men will just be walking down the sidewalk of the girls practically walking in the street. I'm like, dude,
but
fuck.
No,
like,
wait, hold on.
And it's not that I was taught that. It's not that I had a man in my life to explain that to me. That's just common sense to me. Like, I am a larger person. It is my job to protect these loved ones of mine. I'm going to be the one that walks in traffic.
From a gender perspective, that's where a male privilege comes from. Let's keep race out of it for now. That's where male privilege comes from because, like you said, I'm going to die and I'm going to show that I will protect and die for the people around me. Therefore, X. I get X. I feel okay with X.
But now all these people are
we're
raised
not
to
going
believe
into
that...
I'm not saying anything about race. I didn't bring up race.
I keep saying that because as soon as you talk privilege, it's going to be a fucking problem.
Well, no, we talk about male privilege,
I'm talking
not
gender.
We talk about gender.
Strict gender.
But
now all of these kids, because my kids are the same way, are raised to believe that like they're equals. They're just equals. We're all in this together. We're all going to do this together. Like we're all on the same playing field.
The only reason why men are villainized is because we're stronger. Because we can't take advantage of women on that level. If women and men were the same physically, then there wouldn't be any. Because now I can't take advantage. Like I can't take advantage of Bear, even if I could think. I still have the thought in my head that Bear could fuck me up. Whereas a woman, I'm like, I could fuck her up if I want to. I don't even have that thought in my head.
You could, but in the social norms of today's society, you couldn't. Could you?
What?
If you did, you'd go to jail.
Exactly.
Right? 100x years ago, yeah, different story. But where we are today, does our physical ability have any bearing on where we are today?
It's just the idea that it's there. If I just want to start raping bitches, I can just start raping bitches. That's the thing. It's just that idea to where I could just shift to being malevolent and start doing shit to women. That idea out there fucks women up. It's the same idea of
women are indoctrined. Women, I can tell you firsthand that my kids have been indoctrined to believe that men will attack.
Yeah.
By whom?
Huh?
By whom?
What do you mean?
By
You
the
say
system.
by indoctrined
the
in what way?
Yeah.
Dude, that's what they teach them in schools. That's what they're showing them on TV. Okay. That's what, like, they're indoctrined with it.
But
like, women have to stand up for women.
So is that not the problem? Because I'm sorry, you talk about you could just take what you want from a woman right up until you meet some rowdy Ronda Rousey motherfucker that ends your fucking
But this is
life.
what you said. I'm talking about how often do you run into a motherfucker like that?
More and more often, especially when you don't know if it used to have a penis or not.
All right,
well, we're not talking about running into a chick that can whoop your ass. We're talking about running into a guy that's just going to be like, fuck that, that's a woman, I'm going to rape it. I'm not saying they're not out there, but they're definitely not the majority. However, women are being like indoctrinated and brainwashed to believe that is the majority.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what that's why they started feminizing all these men.
Thank you. That's what it is. They're trying to take away the one thing we have over women.
If you have a feminized man that agrees with everything that a woman agrees with, that's not a threat anymore. But if you have a guy that goes out there and has independent thoughts and believes what he believes and will protect the woman and will fight for what he believes, and etc., That is no longer the narrative. That is no longer the norm. That needs to be eradicated.
But this is one of the biggest problems. Let me say this right quick. But this is one of the biggest problems. You're teaching men that, but on the opposite spectrum, you're teaching women that they can do whatever they want to do and nothing should happen to you from a man. And what you're doing is the thing you're telling innately we're aggressive.
Because you're raising a generation of men to believe that that's acceptable.
That's what I'm saying. It's all conditioning. But I'm saying, though, but that's what makes things so volatile. When you have women out here to where you tell them you don't have to take responsibility for anything you do. You can go out to the club, get as drunk as you want to. Nobody should touch you. You're right. Nobody should touch you in a perfect world. But we live in a world with evil motherfuckers. So when you tell them you can go out and do whatever the fuck you want to do and nobody does anything and nobody should do anything to you, you're going to have those motherfuckers like, I don't give a fuck what the society says. I'm going to do what the fuck I want to do. So instead of teaching women, you got to be cautious about what the fuck you do. We're telling them no one should touch you. So do what you want to do. And that's not right because you're just putting them at a disadvantage just for motherfuckers that just don't give a fuck about the law.
No. Because as soon as you do that, anyone that steps outside, as soon as anyone steps outside of that, sexual predator, tagged, gone. It's just another way to easily eliminate people that don't fit the narrative.
So you're describing something of a status quo. Yeah? I mean, you're describing life as it is.
Yeah.
How does that change? I mean, neither of you have described, like, would you be... I assume that the 3-4 of us with the Hamill stepping away for a second would be the ones that if we saw some shit going down where a dude was fucking gumming out, we would put a swift end to that with conviction.
Exactly.
Yeah, sure. But you also have to realize that, like, for a lot of these kids growing up, that shit doesn't really happen outside of rare instances. Like, we grew up in a time where on television men were beating women. We grew up in a time where it was okay to beat women. I remember watching TV and seeing guys just slap women around, and this predated cable.
But that's a lot of... possessive had a lot to do with it.
And
so it used to be their women.
Point is...
That's a difference. That's a fundamental difference.
This is the problem. We need to wipe the slate clean on everything we believe because... let me tell you the reason why
they're trying to do it now.
But they're doing it but they're not trying to create anything new or make people better. They're just trying to put them under more control. The reason why women were subjugated in the first place is because we're ignorant. We didn't know human biology. So a lot of times what happened was, and this was the big witch thing, women that were attractive would make men want them, but they were married. So the men back then seen it as, oh, she's evil. She's using her feminine power to arouse me, and I'm married. I shouldn't do this. So instead of knowing what a man is and knowing that men are attracted to women, they were just like, well, you're married. You should never go look at another woman again. But this woman looks good to me, and my dick is getting hard. So it's like, she must be evil. Let's kill her. And that's where the whole witch thing came from. Literally, they were making men's dicks hard, and they couldn't understand why because we didn't understand human biology then. Or just the way the mentality worked, and so now we got women.
No, you blame. Look,
you blame women, but
it's no different than fucking blaming the minorities are responsible for this. It's the same thing we've always done, and it's a male-female. It's a power. It's a haves versus have-nots. Yeah. It's absolutely a corollary for the.
But this is what they're trying to do. They're trying to flip it now. There's like, well, since you subjugated women, we're going to flip it to where women will be in power and you'll be down here. And that's going to create a whole nother problem because that's just not, we don't teach people on a natural level on what a man should do. We don't have any more roles anymore.
Do we need them?
Huh?
Do we need them?
We don't need them because society provides everything for us, but innately, we still have those things. Like I tell motherfuckers, like I know a lot of dudes, they're angry. They're mad. That's just who they are. It's not anything, did not do anything to them. They're warriors. They're supposed to be out there fighting, hunting, this, that, and the other. You have men that are intelligent. You're supposed to be the thinkers, the makers. We have ideologies that we need to adhere to and stop trying to fit people into the societal box.
So based on that, the way that we used to handle this as a society, and this goes back hundreds of thousands of years, it was a need-based partnership.
Yeah.
So we would find a female that was good at this. I was good at this. the balance creates something greater than its parts.
Well, no, that wasn't even how it started. It started because because women were subjugated. So if I had a daughter, I had to get her the fuck out of my house. So what I would do is I would arrange a marriage. I would find her a mate.
You're going too recent. Like, go back to the animalistic side of this. Is yes, I can put my dick into fucking anything, but the person I'm going to choose as a partner, whether that be male, female, or otherwise, but you obviously, I think 400,000 years ago, it'd be advantageous if it was somebody that I could fuck, as well as we would mutually benefit each other. We don't have that anymore.
Yeah, I agree.
I want to fuck that. I need to be with one of those things that I want to fuck. That's a fundamental difference, as opposed to I'm good at this. This individual, male, female, otherwise, is good at this, and hey, we hope you want to find that complete.
But that's the train of thought, and that's what I'm saying. Now I understand that a woman is a component. When you choose a mate, that mate should upgrade you. It should be something that lifts you up to another level.
And you should upgrade them.
Exactly. It should be a mutual thing. It should both of these people. And this is the type of stuff that needs to be taught to men and women, and we don't teach them this shit. It's all about material. We look at materialistic shit first. How she got a fat ass. I want that fat ass. You know what I'm saying? And that's the way it is.
You're not wrong. I mean,
no, and I'll tell you why. Because people aren't taught to think about what they want. They're taught to be attracted to this. Kim Kardashian is not as famous as she is on accident. Like, someone planted that because then, wow, everyone wants this fat ass. No one's going to question what her moral content is. Kim Kardashian's an idiot, but everyone still wants this ass. Let's just put a couple of asses out there and let them fight over that ass, whether it's of substance or not.
Well, yeah, that's what they do.
Like, people aren't taught to like talk to each other and learn things about each other. They're just taught to be physically attracted to each other. And it's not so much they're taught that; they're just taught what to believe is attractive.
Yeah. But this is
So your inner DNA is like, I gotta fuck that.
Yeah.
And then like you're conditioned with, this is actually what I want to fuck.
Well, and they also made the fantasy a reality. A Kim Kardashian was supposed to remain in a book. You weren't supposed to be able to see that bitch every day, everything she fucking do. That fucks with your mind. You need your reality. You remember back in the day, you only seen the motherfuckers that was in your neighborhood or on your way to work or certain motherfuckers. Now you got access to the whole world. You see all of these people with all this money, all these beautiful women. That's enticing. It's just something inside of you is like, I want that. And so you try to buy into the reality on false pretenses. You don't have the ability to get that. So you try to get it whichever way you can, and it's not good for you. But because it's good for your ego, then you're okay with it. And we aren't teaching people that you got to be better than that.
When was the last time anybody in this room had sex with a girl that wasn't about, I want to fuck this bitch? It was about, I am attracted to them on a much different plane.
The last two chicks I fuck with, because I have the mentality now. Now I'm not looking for the fat ass, the slim waist, the beautiful. I'm not looking for that.
If you can't bring anything to my world, I'd rather not put my dick in you because I know what it leads to.
And Hamill, we've talked quite a bit about it, but there was an emotional element there. Yeah, you were supremely attracted to what's her face.
Yeah,
but there's something else that did that. It wasn't to make you better. It wasn't about dominance.
No, it just like we got along and
you made her better.
Yeah.
She made you worse.
Well, but that
was the problem.
But that's the problem, and that's why it's
why it didn't work.
That's the point. It's just like if you had both made each other better,
we'd still be together.
Oh my God!
But this is the thing that we need to teach, and this is going to be an unpopular thought. As a man, you have to establish yourself before you even try to go out there and have a woman, I believe. And you need to have some things to where you are the head of the household. Because let me tell you something. A woman has to drink your Kool-Aid. You can't drink hers.
What's that Patrice O'Neal line where you need her to love you, but you need just to like her?
Yeah.
And
you have to
that's
be
a very male-centric.
But it's a natural thing. I'm not looking at it from a societal thing. Too. I'm a male. She's a woman. I'm stronger than her. I'm just.
I'm the devil's advocate.
Okay. But it's like you need. That's what I'm saying. We have responsibilities to our gender. I don't give a fuck what people think about this gender fluid shit. It is what it is. We have responsibilities to our gender. We're stronger and everything for a reason. That's not by mistake. It's by design.
So if I had to develop on that thought, you're saying you need to be established as a human, male, human.
Yeah.
Have that so that almost they come to you, or they're reliant upon you, or that you have the strength and so on. So you don't have an issue with what gender that other element in the partnership may be.
Well, I mean, on a natural level, it would be a woman. But if you want to be gay, then somebody has to be here. There's no 50-50. Somebody has to be here. Somebody has to be here. But it's not a malicious thing. You're righteous about your position here. You're taking care of this person. You're making sure everything is on par. It's just, especially when you talk about women, women don't want to be 50-50. They only say that because they're trying to level the field. Women want winners. They want a motherfucker they can look up to, that they can respect. They don't want a motherfucker that's here because now it's like, I'm your fucking mother. That's what that is right here.
Or your buddy.
Or your buddy. Or your roommate.
Yeah.
Now, if you a dude and you submissive and you want a strong woman, do that. But somebody has to be here. Somebody has to be there. And you have to be okay about where you're at. Just 50-50 is just like, there's no real commitment there. There's just like 50-50. Like, I really don't need you.
But that's a purely monogamous view of it.
Well, yeah. If we talking about more motherfuckers, then yeah. And I'm all for, you know what I'm saying? What's it called? What's the other one? The opposite of monogamy.
Polyamorous.
Polyamorous. Yeah. You know, because and the thing with polyamorous is that the person that initiates it has to be able to take care of everybody in the scenario. It can't be a motherfucker that's just greedy that says, I want more women, or a woman that says, I want more men. That person has to be able to provide for everybody in the situation.
What I'm proposing is that if you are saying that there is intrinsically one above the other, however that plays out, if there is a 50-50, the logical is outward, as opposed to a break is outward.
Yeah.
In polyamory, where it's like we got to get that needle to move some way somehow.
Well, that's what, like I say, with polyamorous relationships, what people understand is that it's typically a man with multiple wives. And that man, and that's where it originally came from.
No, that's the Mormons. That's polygamy, and that's very different.
That's polyamorous is this new.
That's like subjugation of.
But I'm talking about. I thought you were talking about like in terms of like Africa back in the day. But that's what it is. You had a man that had multiple wives. He had to be able to take care of all of them. And it is what it is. If you buy into it, then so be it. Who gives a fuck? But there has to be some ranking system. Everybody can't be right here. That's a good idea. But in theory, it's not going to work.
Someone has to be in charge.
Exactly.
We have like 5 minutes left, and I'm trying to decide.
Do we have to end at 2 hours? I've wondered this for a while.
We don't, but
we do.
Considering it's what our schedule says we will do.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
When we get a different studio, do we have to be confined to 2 hours?
No, but who the fuck's gonna listen to the four of us maniacs talking for more than 2 hours?
Dude, I listen to like 6-7 hour podcasts every day.
Yeah, that's Joe Rogan.
No, I don't even listen to Joe Rogan anymore.
Joe Rogan listens, does like sometimes.
He does
He's starting to piss me off.
Why? What's up?
Joe, he flips too much. He flip-flops. It's like sometimes he's this hardcore, like, I don't give a fuck about being PC. Then other times he's just like, oh, yeah, we should do this and do. I'm like, you be flipping too much now.
I have a disagreement on that.
What's up?
Because I've heard that same argument, and he, in his history, said a lot of things that would be, fast forwarded today, very problematic. He has his own show. He is allowed to say, if somebody drops faggot, nigger, cunt, spick on his fucking airwaves, he has the right to be like, I'm not comfortable with you saying that. As a human, he has the right, and he does that. Because people drop like Bill Burr. I think it was Bill Burr. No, it might have been
Bill Burr.
another comic.
But
said,
you can't...
said faggot, and he was just like, and he let the conversation go, and he was just like, please don't use that word.
But you
anymore.
can't. How can you be an advocate for free speech, but then you pick out certain words that they can't say?
He's allowed to.
But you can't be an advocate for free speech and then censor someone else.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's not righteous. That's what I'm saying.
You cannot be an advocate for free speech and then censor someone.
you can
like I get that he's been programmed to believe that that's proper. Like he's trying to fit into a world where he can move on in the future as an entertainer.
And I think
good
that's
on
what
him.
I think.
But he can never again say that he's an advocate for free speech.
That's different. It's different.
Why? Why is it different?
Reason why it's different is because A, it's his show, so it's his private property.
For sure.
It's his
and
rules.
he can censor any way he wants, but he can never again say that he's an advocate for free speech.
He still is.
I disagree.
It's different. It's completely different.
See, this is the problem right here.
No,
y'all trying to nitpick the shit you want.
No.
That's what you're doing.
Well,
That's what you're doing. You're nitpicking, or you allow him. You agreeing with his nitpicking.
The way
you just you just said nigga. I ain't say nothing to you. That on his podcast. He was, you can't.
Look, if I walked into your house and I started playing the worst music you can think of that you hate, like country music. Or
see, y'all looking at it as like this is show. He can do what the fuck he want to do. I'm talking about on a righteous level. You can't say I'm against free PC shit. Then you censor somebody else.
Yes,
just on that level. Can we agree on that level?
Yes,
can we agree?
But
okay.
he hasn't said to anybody on his show, "You're not allowed to say that." What he has said to people is, I would prefer you not use that on my show.
But it's not even with certain words. I've seen him talk to certain people. He's against something here, talk to another motherfucker, then he's for it. And it's almost like he changes depending on who's in the room with him.
But that's actually, I appreciate the fact that it's like he's willing to be swayed by somebody that's in front of him, because if we're too married to our fucking ideas that some new person comes in and presents a new idea, even if it's as polarizing as like really awful verbs and fucking descriptors, if somebody's willing to change their mind because somebody gives a compelling argument in front of them, that's fucking humanity. To not sit there like fucking Anderson Cooper and fucking anybody from Fox News to say, no, what you're saying is wrong, to sit there and be like, you changed my mind.
But you just create this whole narrative to where he comes out to be right. And that's not what it is. I don't want you to change your views depending on who's in front of you. That's phony. That's fake to me. You should hold the same value. Now, you can think outside of that, but you can't. Don't change just because this person's here saying this to me, so I want to please you, so yeah, I'm for that. Then another motherfucker that comes in that's against it, and then I'm against it too. That's what I'm saying.
So let's rewind to the beginning of this episode. This will give us a nice little fucking circular. Okay. Early on in this episode, we talk about CPR talking about somebody punching Nazis, or that you got to let somebody have that fair. If you are a host, you want to legitimize your guest, because it's your audience that draws the conclusion. You don't draw it for your audience. The audience draws their conclusion. The great hosts in the history of all media have presented that and participated in whatever was before them, allowing their audience to draw their own conclusions without bias. That's my argument. Whether it be Colorado Public Radio or Johnny fucking Carson, who sat there throwing fucking, like, shooting rocks with some podunk, and it was just the same as if he was interviewing a head of state. He's not there to inject his politics, his beliefs. He's there to let that person be that person for that time. It is the listeners, viewers, absorbers of this information's responsibility to decide what to do with that information. That's all I'm saying.
I hate you, crackers.
I'd have to go out on that.
Hate you.